I will try to cover in this talk a diverse set of topics, but all of them are really accumulating to one vertical that Kaspa excels in, namely real-time decentralization. So in crypto, there are two types, there are two species of researchers. One species gets all the attention and honor and respect, and this is the cryptographers. And they are strictly interested in knowing that each step follows from the previous step in a logical, mathematically enforced manner. But they suffer from spiral of death, meaning they do not concern themselves with knowing whether the input is valid. The only concern of a cryptographer in the crypto space is asserting a certain state transition correctness. So whether it's cryptographic signature that you own the UTXO, whether it's a set of state transitions in the ZK rollup, in all of these cryptographic schemes, the context is that the cryptographer provides a self-enforced, mathematically enforced truth that follows from a certain set of state transitions. And understandably, this is considered the peak of crypto because by trusting math and with no other trust assumptions, you create supposedly a hard, airtight system. However, this mindset fails to connect crypto to any other system. So within one system, ZK proofs and cryptography are airtight solutions. However, whenever you want to connect a crypto world, a crypto blockchain, a crypto system to any external event outside it, you have to use the other species of researchers, the distributed systems researchers, which operate in a very different trust model. They are operating on the assumption that the majority is honest, the typical 51% honest majority in Bitcoin, and any connection of a crypto system to the external world or to other blockchains necessarily operates in this honest majority world. So again, this species of ants or researchers is creating more brittle, weaker assumptions and tries to connect crypto to the broader world. It is considered a second-degree citizen in crypto because it operates in the honest majority trust assumption. It's more adventurous, it's more fragile. The honest majority is arguably much weaker than just math. But again, arguably the only way to connect crypto and to fulfill the internet money vision or the crypto promise is by accepting this assumption and trying to create this bridge. This is a topic that is widely known, widely acknowledged in crypto. However, it's still overlooked or dismissed. All the bridges are assumed to be like a second-degree importance, and most of the attention goes to these siloed systems which are enforced by ZK math. So if we want to think about the crypto vision, which we can encompass or which is embodied, let's say, in internet money, then we need to think about the word internet in that context. We don't want to think about a siloed system. One very timely internet or world event that would affect everyone's crypto money is the MSC index ruling mid-January about whether DATs, MicroStrategy, can be included in the indexes of in equity stock indices. This is not an event that can be verified cryptographically in the Bitcoin blockchain, but it will affect the store of value property of Bitcoin. So if you want to think about internet money or store of value, we have to think about connecting this to a flow, an internet money flow, and try to envision how each component will play out. So I'm considering here in this example, maybe let me preface for those who are not on the same page yet, that it's clearly an event, the ruling of MSC Index in a few weeks would be clearly a critical event that would affect everyone's Bitcoins, at least, if not the entire market. So let's assume I hold money, I'm a liquidity provider in crypto, and I wish to prepare myself to store my value correctly and securely, and I have to prepare to this external event, which I know in advance. Again, I'm assuming that it is clear to everyone that ignoring this event and sticking to cryptography would be a spiral of death error. We have to assume this flow is important, is an important element of fulfilling internet money and crypto promise. So assuming I'm an LP and I want to provision my liquidity correctly according to some strategy. So I devise a strategy. Let's say I say if MSC Index approves MicroStrategy as part of the index, there's an upswing in crypto and definitely in Bitcoin. And then if it's in the other direction, then probably I should prepare for a downswing. And let's say my assumption is that proof of work currencies that do not have DATs, that are not married with institutions and corporates, have a better chance of surviving this. So I want to give more weight to my Kaspa holding versus my Bitcoin holding. Let's say this is my strategy to store my value or to manage my wealth. What I envision in this internet money flow would be, let's go over the steps. Step number one, I devise a strategy. Step number two, I delegate this strategy to some internet money layer, hypothetical internet money layer that I didn't specify yet, but it should resemble something that we are building. This internet money layer then commits itself to read the internet or to read the news or the headlines frequently, especially in mid-January. And then immediately when this event happens, the internet money layer reads the news input, the internet input, and acts on my behalf according to it. This is a very basic flow, and this does not exist in crypto today in a trustless, decentralized manner. There are, of course, smart brokers, centralized services, third-party networks that can act upon it, but I will describe now why an internet money layer has to be something more cohesive, and the internet money flow needs to be somewhat atomic. I will explain that atomicity later. Okay, so how is this related to DAGs? For those of you who are unfamiliar yet, unfortunately, with Kaspa, what you see here is a graph of blocks. You can assume time flows from your left-hand side to your right-hand side. And assume we connected this internet money layer to this money to the internet. Meaning, assume we instructed miners who are interested as an opt-in protocol, assume we instructed them to help us know mid-January whether the ruling was in favor of MicroStrategy or to the contrary. So let's say I I don't know the chances, so don't take this as financial advice. Let's say miners attest with a green check mark in case of a favored ruling, and a favorable ruling, and X, a red X as a negative one. These things, again, are done in crypto today. There are oracle networks. There are bridge networks. These concepts in and of themselves are not new, but they are not holistically integrated into L1 flows. What you see on your left-hand side is what would happen if we instructed Kaspa miners today, when we are operating with 10 blocks per second, if we instructed them to attest mid-January to the event, to the ruling. In that case, after a few, these 10 blocks are mined in Kaspa post the crescendo update, roughly within a second. If we counted the votes, so these votes are not opinions, rather attestations. So either the green ones are lying or the red ones are lying. This is not a precedence or priority or preference race. It's a truth or lie attestation. And again, you can do these things with a combination of cryptography with zk-TLS. I won't get into the details of this right now. The main point is, if you count the votes on your left-hand side, what you see is 7 votes were green, 3 votes were red. And now the question is, what's the probability that the majority what's the probability that actually the red blocks represent the majority? So with proof of work, assuming the honest majority, with proof of work, this is a small probability after 10 blocks, but not a negligible one. So with 94.5%, you got a sample of the majority. But there's still 4-point-something% that this is a lucky burst of an attacker proof of work mining. And actually, the 3 red X's are the truth. So again, if you just wait 1 second in Kaspa Crescendo and require all miners to attest and you collect the votes, there's still some non-negligible percent chance that you have sampled the dishonest minority. However, if you speed up Kaspa mining to 100 blocks per second, then within 1 second, you get, in this example, let's say half a second, you get 50 votes. And these 50 votes, assuming you get like 44 green check marks, then the probability that you have sampled a dishonest minority is 0, almost 0. So this provides you motivation, or rather Kaspa Core Dev's motivation, to accelerate the block rate from 10 blocks per second to 100 blocks per second. And while this will not increase any human UX notable UX, you won't be able to discern between 100 millisecond and 10 millisecond confirmation time. You will be able to safely finalize this bridge or finalize this attestation or get to a verdict regarding this attestation within 1 internet round trip time. So in real time, you can verify or finalize, this state, this attestation. And again, we're talking here about not about cryptographically verifying something with math. It's counting the majority, operating on the basis of the honest majority assumption, and the only game here is how fast can you sample the majority. Okay, this is the entire game here. And the surprising thing is that for a real-time sampling of the majority in a way that it cannot be manipulated, you have to use proof of work. And this is contrary to what many of you have been taught, that proof of work is a dinosaur and proof of stake is the new thing. Well, this new thing cannot satisfy this property of real-time decentralization and real-time finalization of majority vote. On the left-hand side, you can see, you can read a tweet by Michael. He's probably the tech lead of Kaspa, for the lack of better description. And he pointed out, and he pinpointed the uniqueness of proof of work in this manner. Again, this is not related to speed. It is more related to the fact that a proof of work DAG has the ability to sample the majority in a granular manner. So all the 10,000 miners are trying to mine a block, and if we have 100 blocks per second, then 100 of them will be able to present a vote in a timely manner. And this is a game changer. And this is not only a game changer, but this is the main moat I would describe when describing the tech stack of Kaspa. So while Kaspa has various amazing features, and there are people that are better than me in pitching them, if we want to distill one feature that is not only vaguely decentralized or some vague description, but something that is inherently unachievable with other systems, with non-proof of work systems, it's real-time decentralization. So Kaspa is essentially implementing what Bitcoin achieves within an hour, right? After an hour of Bitcoin blocks, you say, okay, probably I sampled the majority and now I can accept transactions. Kaspa can do this in real time. After one round trip time of the internet, you can say, okay, I got a sample of the majority, I can act upon it. Again, I mentioned, and I want to reiterate, this concept, or some of the concepts I mentioned, are not new or novel in and of themselves. So you have eigenlayer on ETH, you have the supposed symbiosis of near protocol, near intents with Zcash, you have Pith network integrating their oracles inside Solana and other systems. The fact that there are oracle networks and solvers and external networks that validate external internet events is not something that was invented today or recently. However, what I'm proposing here around the Kaspa mode of real-time decentralization is that this flow is integrated natively into layer 1. I'm not hinting that miners will be forced to run it, rather that miners will be incentivized to participate in this protocol. And if I want to distill them or describe the flywheel that is created and to distinguish Kaspa in this manner from these other pairs that have this marriage of one solver network or auxiliary network, auxiliary oracle network helping the L1, I will describe this through the flywheel that results in. So in general, solver networks or auxiliary networks can serve in an if this then, can provide a service of the form if this then that. They can read one trust zone, one logic zone, and because they run in their consensus the entire system, they can give you the service of if this happens here, then that happens there. For instance, if we connect to the internet through data miner, then if this happens on data miner, then please do that on Solana. Now, Kaspa miners in theory can provide this auxiliary service, but they will do so very good because of the real-time decentralization property, which is unique to high-definition proof of work. But once they do this, there will be an attractor to pull more logic and more assets on Kaspa chain, because logic and assets that will live on Kaspa will enjoy immediate service, zero latency, and atomicity. So for a very simple example, if let's say you say my liquidity pool is on Solana. My proprietary AMM is on Solana. If the ruling is negative, I want to change my proprietary AMM pairing on Solana. Then while the Kaspa miners can, in theory, serve you thus, if you would migrate your AMM to Kaspa, you would enjoy zero latency and atomicity. It immediately, once the attestation is finalized, your proprietary AMM will update. Whereas if you live on Solana, it will require another latency and another competition in Solana's fee market. So this is a crucial element in the flywheel. It can start with an auxiliary network with a service, but the more this service is adopted, the more logic and assets come on chain, and you create this flow of increased demand, increased trust in the base asset, and increased usage. So in a more strategic way, what is proposed here is to adopt this unique value proposition of Kaspa, not only as a theoretical research or theoretical observation, rather as a concrete strategy to increase its adoption. I will finish my talk with addressing a concern that many community members had, that Kaspa is stretching all over the place and addressing many different R&D aspirations or many research questions. And in fact, if you visit this flow more carefully, you see that all of these features are inherently necessary and related to the value proposition of real-time decentralization. So I will mention just one in order to increase your appetite. So let's consider MEV auctions. MEV auctions seem supposedly unrelated to this. It's related to allowing the embedding in the ordering rule of blocks an auction between miners for the right to sequence a user's transaction in order to protect them from algo trading, also known as MEV. However, this is crucial for such a system because the whole idea, the whole value proposition of real-time decentralization is that you sample an honest majority, and that majority has no way to manipulate, for instance, front-run your transaction, right? Let's say that in the MSC index ruling, it's clear. It's a very clear front-running opportunity for miners. So you have to embed in the system an MEV auction that will guarantee to the user, to the LP that delegated their strategy to the majority, that if this then that strategy, that their internet money strategy won't be exploited by miners. There are other components in this list. I don't want to take too much time from the next talk, but I would just invite everyone to review this list and comprehend how these components are necessary building blocks in the RTD final product. Of course, they have their own merit in a more modular and open-ended strategy where everyone pulls to their own directions, and many Kaspa community members and teams are pushing for adoption in different directions, which is perfectly legitimate. But from a more, but in order to increase the chances of adoption, I encourage the Kaspa community to make more effort to converge these efforts, coordinate them, and listen to the common wisdom of need to focus. The lack of focus kills a lot of dreams, and we can take all of these efforts, all these parallel research and development efforts, and guide them in one direction that would that would be conducive to this flywheel. I would perhaps Yeah, I will just perhaps mention one last thing. This internet money flow that I mentioned is far from being ready. There are mechanical questions on how you implement this flow, how you read these news outlets, how you subscribe to these broadcasting, Bloomberg, Reuters, data miner. There's Refinitiv. There are many different structures for how to run this. There's different networks to learn from. There's the Chainlink version. There's the Pith version. There are many ways to go about it, and I welcome anyone to provide their ideas, their experience in implementing this flow. That would be for now. Thanks a lot for inviting me.